Hello, good afternoon students. Welcome to the live lecture of functional analysis. In the last lecture, we have seen some important examples. First example tells that whenever X be a nonlinear space, then this is a Banach space if and only the closed sphere, that is S, is complete in this, right? We have seen the proof in detail for this example. The next we have seen is the direct sum. Okay, what is the direct sum of the two subspaces? Whenever we have the addition called as a direct sum, every element in the direct sum is expressible uniquely as a sum x is equal to x1 plus x2, where x1 belongs to the first space and x2 belongs to the second linear space, right? Then we have proved that there is one norm defined on this direct sum of the two subspaces defined by norm 1 of z is norm x plus norm y, and we have proved that this norm 1 is a norm and B norm 1 is a Banach space if M and N are the closed subspaces of B, right? The two-step proof which we have seen already, the norm 1 is a norm on B, we have verified all the four conditions of norm, and to prove that this is the Banach space, actually already it is a non-linear space. So that it is enough to prove that B norm 1 is complete, right? Therefore, we have started with one Cauchy sequence, and with few steps we have proved that the Cauchy sequence is convergent. Okay. Now in today's lecture, we were going to understand some important properties of the linear transformation. Before that, we will just recall some few definitions. Okay. Some definitions I just want to recall. What is the first definition I am going to recall as linear transformation. Yes, linear function or transformation you can call. Okay. Now we were going to write this for the normed linear spaces. Therefore, I am going to select the two normed linear spaces. Let n and n dash be the normed linear spaces over the same field here. Over same field here. Now this f is actually either field of real numbers or the field of complex number. The mapping P from n to n dash is said to be linear. Yes, can anyone tell me the definition? This is said to be linear if, yes,
T of alpha x plus beta y is equal to alpha into T of x plus beta into T of y.
very good. What does it mean actually? This preserves an operation of addition and scalar
Scalar multiplication.
multiplication, right? No, where alpha, beta are the scalars, x and y are the elements of the nonlinear space N. Or one can write this separately. First for addition and next second for the linears for the scalar multiplication. Okay. Now I am going to write the condition for the function to be continuous with the same t from n to n. So I will just write a definition. T is said to be continuous at x naught. Okay, let me just write T, whatever we were going to consider is from N, the non-linear space. With the norm, I will write simply norm. And for the codomain space, I will write the norm as norm dash. Okay, we are separating the norms on the domain and codomain space. And now we were checking the definition for the continuity of the function T at x naught. If what if for given x longer than 0, there exists delta greater than 0 such that, yes, what such that? Yes, what such that? Continuous I want, continuous at the point x naught. When you are saying the function is continuous.
F of x minus f of x naught less than epsilon.
Modulus, norm, something you have to tell us.
Modulus. Norm man.
Here it is norm. But which norm? Shall I take first norm or second norm? T image you
First
are
norm.
considering.
First, ma'am.
How first norm? If any element X I am selecting from the domain, the T image will be in the codomain, no? And for the elements of
Yes, ma'am.
codomain, which norm is acting? Norm
Second
dash
one.
is acting, right?
Norm dash.
Okay. Therefore, here can I write norm Tx minus Tx naught norm dash less than epsilon whenever. Whenever what?
Mod x minus x naught is less than.
Norm
Norma x minus x naught.
less than delta. Okay. If the definition is norm x and norm y, you have to change it accordingly. That's why I'm just repeating the definition. Continuous at x naught is like this. Correct, na? Any difficulty?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
When you are going to say that the function is continuous on whole domain, function is continuous on whole domain. This is for a point, no? Will be continuous on whole domain if and only continuous at every point, right now? Okay. Now I am going to going for the next definition of bounded. When you are going to say that the function is bounded, if it's said to be bounded, if what if there exists a positive constant, k such that norm dash of t of x, okay, is less than or equals to k into norm of x for all x in n. Is it okay? T again I have taken same n norm to n dash norm dash. Therefore, for every x in the domain, t of x will be in n dash codomain, right? Then this is said to be bounded, right? No? Function is said to be bounded if it satisfies the condition. Correct, no? Are you familiar with this definition or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
When you are going to say the set is bounded set if I wanted to write. Let x norm or n norm I will write now because n is the symbol I have used throughout. Let n norm be a normed linear space, comma, S is a subset of n. Okay. S is said to be bounded. Yes, if there exists positive constant, or you can say k greater than 0, right now? K greater than 0 such that. Now what such that? Yes, students, what such that? For a set I am writing now.
X less than or equal to k for all x belongs to S.
X less than or equals to k, you are writing. Or mod x you are writing.
Mod x, ma'am.
Mod x. Now here what should I replace it?
Norm.
Norm x.
Norm I have to replace, right now. Therefore shall I write norm of x less than or equals to k for all x in S.
X.
Okay. Now for bounded set we were writing like this. Someone has unmuted their mic, I think. Shubhada?
Yes, ma'am.
Mute yourself. There is lot of noise coming. Okay. Now this set is said to be bounded if norm x is less than or equals to k. Therefore, the definition for the function to be bounded, this is said to be bounded if norm dash of t of x is less than or equals to k into norm of x. That is, t image of every element is less than or equals to some scalar. Correct now? Check out both the definitions. This is norm value of every vector is less than or equals to some scalar. Correct? Here also we were pretending the same, no? Norm of, that is length of t of x, is less than or equals to. For every x in n, what about norm of x? Is it scalar?
Yes, ma'am.
And what for k? This is also scalar. Therefore, the right side is totally some scalar value. Therefore, what we were trying to establish the relation norm dash of t of x, that is length of the t image of every element in the domain is less than or equals to some scalar, which is very similar to this definition of a bounded set. Okay, understood both the definition, bounded function and bounded set as well. Okay. Now we were going for some important properties of function to be linear. Whenever a function is given to be linear, no, it possesses some special properties. Okay, we will study some properties here one by one. Okay, the first property of linearity we were going to study. Whenever the function is given to be linear, then the function is continuous on x if and only if it is continuous at any point, at a single point. Okay, what is the definition actually? Function is continuous on, f is continuous on whole domain, continuous on x I will write, x is my domain, say. Okay, when we were saying the function f is continuous on whole domain, if f is continuous at every point, right? At every point of x. But here now we were claiming f is continuous if and only if it is continuous at a point, single point. Let me write the statement. Let t from x to y be any linear operator. Linear operator. Then prove that capital T is continuous on x if and only if T is continuous at any point of x, any single point of x. Correct, no? This is a property, no? Because according to the definition, this has to be there. It has to be continuous at every point. Now we were claiming it is at any point due to which property? Linearity. Okay, let us try to prove this. In the first one, I think first part is easy. If I were right, only if part. What is the only if part? What is only if part? T is continuous on x, no? Is my assumption.
Yes.
Correct. And what to prove?
T is continuous at any point.
Yes, T is continuous at any point. Is it obviously true? Because if it is given that continuous on whole domain x, then may I say it is continuous at any point?
Yes.
Just
ma'am.
I wanted to write, then by definition, T is continuous at every point of x. I will write first. Every point of x. If it is continuous at every point of x, may I say it is continuous at any point of x? Is that okay? Only if part is little bit true actually. Now let me just write if part. What is the assumption in if part? T is continuous at any point. And what should I prove? T is continuous on whole domain, right? T is continuous on whole domain x. If in order to prove that this is continuous on whole domain, what I will do, I will select an arbitrary point of the domain and I will show that the function is continuous at the arbitrary point. Therefore, here I will write select an arbitrary point. Select an arbitrary point small x of capital X. Hence, to prove that, hence what to prove? That T is continuous on, sorry, continuous at this arbitrary point, right now? Now to prove this continuity, what I will do, I will assume one convergent sequence converging to this point x. Say xn is my sequence convergent to x. To prove continuity, what I have to show? How we were showing continuity, if xn tends to x is the function we have, and if f is continuous. How we were writing? F of
f of xn converges to f of x.
xn converges to f of x. This point we were going to use. Therefore, we will find out one sequence which is converging to this point, right? Therefore, we will say let there exist a sequence xn. There exists a sequence xn in capital X such that, what such that? Xn converges to x as n tends to infinity. Okay, but what we know? Here what I will do is one more thing. Continuous at any point, say x naught I will write. Okay, x naught. Or here I can write continuous at any point, say x naught. X naught is a fixed point at which we were assuming the function is continuous. Okay. Now, as it is continuous at the point x naught, therefore this kind of definition I can use for the point x naught, no?
Yes, ma'am.
X naught if it is. So what I will do, if, with the help of this sequence, we will trying to construct a sequence which is converging to x naught. See how I am doing this. If xn converges to x, can I say the sequence xn minus x converges to 0?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next, I will add a fixed point x naught on both the sides. The x naught is fixed. Therefore, I am adding a scalar actually. Therefore, it will be just addition by fixed scalar. Therefore, xn minus x plus x naught will converge to x naught. But the fact is known to us that the function t is continuous. As t is continuous at x naught, we have, what we have? I can take t image on both the sides, na? T image of xn minus x plus x naught converges to t of x naught, correct? As n tends to infinity. Right now? But what is the function? What is the another property of t we have with us?
Linearity.
So let us use linearity. What linearity tells us here? T of xn minus t of x plus t of x naught. Now you tell me what is the nature of t of x naught? If x naught is any fixed scalar. What about t of x naught?
Scalar.
Yeah, it's a fixed value, right? Therefore, just remove fixed value from both the sides. May I write again t of xn minus t of x converges to 0, which implies actually t of xn converges to t of x, right? From where we have started with? We have started with the sequence xn converges to x, and we have proved t of xn converges to x naught. Thus, xn converges to x implies t of xn converges to t of x as n tends to infinity. Therefore, may I say t is continuous at arbitrary point x in x.
Yes,
Therefore,
ma'am.
may I say t is continuous on whole domain. Okay. Therefore, which property is important here? Linearity. Here is linear. Therefore, this is the first property of the linearity function we have seen, that continuous on whole domain if and only if it is continuous at any point. Okay. Let us write its corollary. The corollary is very simple corollary. Okay. What is given? Let t from x to y be linear. Okay. Then t is continuous at origin implies t is continuous on x. But just now we have proved it, no? By taking linearity at a fixed point x naught, we have proved T is continuous on x. Now take this point x naught to be origin. Hence the proof for this corollary, right now? Because we were not going to prove this corollary. It is a little bit obvious. Let me go for another property. The another property says that whenever this T is linear, then continuity implies and implied by boundedness. Let T from x to y be linear. X to y be linear. Prove that T is continuous on x if and only if T is bounded on x. Continuity implies and implied by boundedness. Again, we will first go for only if part. What is only if part? What is the assumption?
T is continuous on x.
Yes, T is continuous on x. And what is my aim to show? T is bounded on x. Remember, this point should be very clear to you. What is the assumption and what you wanted to prove? T is bounded on x. Okay. Now, to prove this result, what I am going to do is, I am going to assume the contradiction. I am going to assume the contradiction that T is not bounded, right? Now, let us have a look to this definition of function to be bounded. This norm value, norm dash of T of x is less than or equals to k into norm of x. And this is totally depends upon the existence of a positive constant k such that this inequality is satisfied. Now, whenever I am saying that the function is not bounded, therefore may I say there exists no constant k such that this inequality is true. Correct, no?
Yes, ma'am.
No such a constant exists. Okay, then let us come to the proof. Yes, here we are going to assume the contradiction. Assume the contradiction that T is not bounded. T is not bounded. Okay, look what I am going to say. See that T is there exists no k greater than 0. Here there is no dot because if I give a dot, what will be a statement? There exists a number k greater than 0. Here what I am saying? No. This is no. Very important. Right? There exists no k greater than 0 such that. What such that? Norm of T of x. Now here no different norms are defined. Therefore we will use a same symbol. Norm T of x is less than or equals to k into norm of x for all x in x. Okay. Now if such an inequality is not true, there exists no k greater than 0 such that this inequality is true. Therefore, may I assume the reverse of this inequality? What will be the reverse of this inequality if it is less equal? What will be my opposite statement? May I say there
Norm
exists?
T of x
Yes.
greater equal.
Greater, strictly
Strictly
greater.
greater.
Strictly greater. Therefore, what I am going to say, there exists one vector in the domain for which the inequality is exactly greater. Okay, let me write. Then, for each positive integer, I will say n, I am going to call for positive integer n, there exists xn in x. See why I am writing for positive integer n means it will form a sequence of elements in the domain, right? Such that, what such that? Norm of T of xn strictly greater by n into, I will write. Scalar I have to write, no? Therefore I will write n into norm of xn. Try to understand this statement. If you write for a vector x only, it will be only one element. Actually, the aim is to prove that the function, actually the aim is to have somewhere a contradiction to the original assumption because we have started with a contradiction. What is my original assumption? T is continuous. Now, whenever t is continuous, we know xn tends to x will give us txn converges to t of x. Therefore, we have formed one sequence of the elements depending upon this positive integer, so that it is going to form a sequence like this, xn kind of sequence. Okay. Now we will check what will be a contradiction we were getting. Understood this statement first?
Yes, ma'am.
Greater than by some scalar. Okay. Now, what I will do, I will just shift n into norm of xn to the left. What will happen? This is n norm of xn strictly greater than by 1. And no doubt, xn we have to impose the value to be a non-zero vector. Xn is a non-zero vector. Just look at this. Can I write this term as norm of t image of xn upon n into norm of xn? Greater than 1. T is linear, no? If t is linear, this is a scalar term, n into norm of xn. How can we utilize t of xn upon n of norm of xn? N norm xn scalar can be taken out. Therefore, it will be 1 upon n norm of xn into t image of xn. And how that scalar is taken out of the norm? With modulus. But n is a positive integer, norm is a non-negative quantity. Therefore, no need to write a mod. Correct, no?
Yes,
Getting
ma'am.
this? Okay. Now what we have obtained? Norm of t of xn upon n norm of xn is greater than 1. Which fact I have used? Which property I have used? T linear. Okay. Now I am going to define a sequence with this bracketed term as yn. Say yn I am going to define as xn upon n into norm of xn. Okay, now this yn is actually a vector divided by its norm. Therefore, this should be a unit vector, but it is again divided by norm n also. Na? Therefore, what is the norm value of this yn? Can anyone tell me? Norm value of yn. Let us find out norm value of yn. This is xn upon n into norm of xn.
1 upon n.
Yes, it is 1 upon n. This is the scalar taken out with a modulus, but both the quantities are non-negative. Therefore, no, I am not writing a modulus. I am taking just out. What remains with us? N into norm of xn. Norm xn cancels, and v remains with 1 upon n only. Therefore, whatever yn we have constructed, may I say that this sequence yn, norm yn is this value, na? That what about norm yn sequence? May I say norm of yn converges to 0 as n tends to infinity?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Therefore, what about yn? Yn also converges to 0 as n tends to infinity. Correct, no? Okay. But look at this. This statement number 1 I will call. What this statement number 1 tells us from 1, may I write norm of t of yn is greater by 1.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, let me call this as 2. Now let us use the function to be continuous. If the function has to be continuous, yn tends to 0, what it should imply? T of yn converges to t of 0, right now?
Yes, ma'am.
But from this, can you say that this t of yn is converging to 0, norm of t of yn?
No, ma'am.
No, because that every scalar norm t of yn is greater than 1. Therefore, the sequence t of yn will not converge to 0. Therefore, here shall I write? So, the sequence t of yn does not converge. Does not converges to t of 0. But what is the value of t of 0? 0?
0.
Because the function is linear. Okay? See, are you getting me? Norm t of yn, every scalar is greater than 1. Therefore, it will not converge to 0 anyhow. But if the function, what is the meaning then? Yn converges to 0, but t of yn does not converges to t of 0.
T is not continuous.
Yes, this implies T is not continuous. At which point? 0.
0.
Therefore, this is a contradiction, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Which is the contradiction to assumption. What is the assumption we have made initially? T is continuous, no? T is continuous on whole domain is my assumption. If a T is not continuous at 0, will be a contradiction to the assumption that the function T is continuous on whole domain. Therefore, this contradiction arises due to the wrong assumption initially, right? That T is not bounded. This contradiction gives us one more contradiction, right? Hence, what can I say? Therefore, T must be bounded. T must be bounded. Hence the proof, right? Now, let us go for the reverse part again, if part. What is the assumption in if part? Function is bounded. T is bounded. And what one has to prove? T
T
is
is continuous on X.
Is continuous on X. This is the assumption. This is the aim to prove. Let us write the definition of function T is bounded. Okay. By the assumption. What definition says that? There exists a positive constant that is greater than 0 such that, what such that? Norm of T of X less than or equals to K into norm of X for all X in X. Next equation number I will call as up to 3 I have given. Let me call this as 4. Is that okay? Now, proving T is continuous on X, may I say it is enough to prove that the function T is continuous at origin by previous theorem?
Yes, ma'am.
By previous theorem, it is enough to prove the function T is continuous at point origin. Origin. Okay. For to prove this function is continuous, what I will assume? There is just one sequence converging to 0, and the aim is to show that Txn converges to T of 0, right? Let sequence Xn be a sequence in N, be a sequence in X such that, what such that? Xn converges to 0 as N tends to infinity. Okay? As N tends to infinity. Now, as the sequence is in X, for every element in X, we know from equation number 4. What this 4 gives us? For every Xn in X, we get. What we get? Norm of T of Xn less than or equals to K into norm of Xn for all Xn in X. Actually, here I have written. Okay. Now, the sequence Xn is converging to 0. Let me call it as statement number 5. Right. From the statement number 5, Xn converges to 0. Then what about norm of Xn?
Converges to 0.
Yes, it has to converge to 0. Okay. Therefore, may I write as Xn converges to 0, it will imply norm of Xn converges to 0. Therefore, what about this right hand side? This right hand side is converging to 0, no? This K into 0 actually is converges to K into 0. One can write this is converging to 0, right? Therefore, may I say this implies the above equation becomes. What this above equation becomes? norm of t of xn is less than or equals to 0, right? Correct, na? This is
Yes,
converging
ma'am.
to 0. Okay, but this norm, but norm is always
Non-negative.
non-negative. For combining both, can I write norm of t of xn is equal to 0. That is, one can say that norm of t of xn converges to 0 as n tends to infinity. If norm t of xn converges to 0, what about t of xn? It has to converge to
Converges
0.
to 0.
Which property actually? Second property, no? Norm x is equal to 0 if and only
X equal to
x
0.
is equal to, this we were using, right? For t of xn converges to 0. We have started with xn converges to 0. We have proved t of xn converges to 0. Hence t is continuous at origin. Right now? And hence one can say that t is continuous on whole domain. T is continuous on whole domain. Yes, any difficulty in the proof? If you have, you can ask me. Simple proofs are there actually. You have to start with the assumption, you have to focus on what to prove, and accordingly you have to make your steps. Okay? This is the second property of linearity we have seen. Let me go for the next theorem, third property of linearity actually, that the function is bounded if and only if it maps bounded sets to bounded sets. Let t from x to y be linear. Okay, prove that t is bounded if and only if t maps bounded sets in X, bounded sets in X into bounded sets in, yes,
Y.
in Y. What is the simple meaning? Image of bounded set is bounded, right now?
Yes,
T
ma'am.
maps bounded sets in, yes, that is image of bounded set is bounded. This is what the third property of linearity we were going to study. Okay, again let me start with only part assuming T is bounded. Assume that T is bounded. What to prove? To prove that T maps bounded sets. I will write this shortcut BDD, okay, for bounded. Bounded sets in Y. Okay, what I will do, I will take one bounded set in the domain and I will prove that the T image of the bounded set is bounded. Okay, therefore here what I will do, or before that I can write the meaning of the definition. Therefore by assumption, there exists k greater than 0, na, positive constant such that norm of T of x is less than or equals to k into norm of x for all x in x. Let me call it as statement number 1. This is my assumption. Okay. Now let me assume one bounded set in the domain and we will prove its T image is bounded in Y. Let S be bounded subset of x. Right? Bounded subset of x. What is the definition of bounded set we have seen again? By definition, there exists another positive constant. K I have used, let me use some another scalar, say m greater than 0 such that, what such that? Norm of
Norm
x
X less equal.
by m for all x in,
S.
yes it is in yes. Okay, let me call it as statement number 2. Okay. Now just focus on equation 1 and 2. If this statement is true for all x in X, may I say it is equally true for x in S also? This equation number 1. As S is
Yes,
a
ma'am.
subset of X, this is true for all x in S also. Therefore, just combine 1 and 2 and just write norm Tx is less than or equals to k into norm of x, and norm of x is less than or equals to m. Therefore, combining 1 and 2, may I write norm Tx is less than or equals to some scalar k into m. Okay? From 1 and 2. Norm T of x is less than or equals to k into m, product, no? And is true for all x in S. I have written combined statement for all x in S. For a subset only it is true, right? Now look at this very carefully. Norm T of x, k greater than 0, m greater than 0. Therefore, what about this scalar together?
Greater than
0,
zero.
positive constant. Therefore, this will be my positive constant again. And T image of x, norm of T image of x is less than or equals to constant for all x in S. Therefore, may I say T image of this S is bounded.
Yes, ma'am.
This implies T of S is bounded. Subset of what?
X.
Y. Y.
Yes,
T
ma'am.
image, na? I am starting with T image. Clear, na? Actually, T starts from x to y. I have taken a bounded subset S of x. Therefore, this T image must be a subset of bounded subset of y. Okay. Okay. That's what we have started with. We have started with S to be a bounded subset of x, and we have proved that T of S is bounded subset of. Hence, what we have proved? P maps bounded sets in X into bounded sets in Y. If you feel any difficulty at any stage, you can stop me and ask the questions. Okay. Now let me go for the reverse part, if part. What is the assumption in the if part? Assume P maps bounded sets in X into bounded sets in Y. Right? And the aim is to show that the mapping P is bounded. Okay. Now what we will do, we were going to make use of the assumption. Therefore, I will take one bounded set in the domain, and according to this assumption, the T image will also be bounded. Therefore, here I will consider one bounded set. Consider the set. Unit sphere I am going to consider. Consider the set S is the collection of all the elements in the domain such that norm value is less than or equals to 1. That what kind of set it is? This is closed unit sphere, right now?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is the nature of closed unit sphere? Bounded or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it is bounded. Actually, the bound is 1 we have defined. Norm x is less than or equals to a scalar. The scalar we have selected to be 1. Okay. Consider the set. Yes. Here I can write then S is bounded subset of X. Bounded subset of X. Okay. Hence, can I say by assumption T of S is bounded. T of S is bounded subset of Y. Right? T of S is bounded subset of Y. Now, if T of S is bounded subset of Y, what is the definition again? This implies there exists some constant, positive constant, k greater than 0, such that. What such that? A definition for bounded set I am writing. What is the nature of element at T of S? S and T of S are the two sets, no? If I write any y is in T of S, may I say this y is a T image of some element in S? Therefore, this y is of the type T of X or X in S. Right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Therefore, now I am going to write there exists k greater than 0 such that norm of y less than or equals to k for all y in T of S. Okay, and let me call this as what is the number I have given initially. 1, 2 I have given. 3 I will call. Okay, then here only I will write. Now, if I am going to write y belongs to T of S implies y equal to T of X for some x in S. Y is T image of some element in the set, yes. Okay, but the above equation becomes, from 3 what can I write? Norm of T of X is less than or equals to k for all x in X. Oh, sorry, for all x in S I have to write now. Okay. Now what the condition I will elaborate? X in S. What is the meaning? This is an element x in X with an extra condition norm x is less than or equals to 1. Right now? Think of what is the S condition? Collection of those elements in X which satisfies norm x is less than or equals to 1. Therefore, I just replace the condition x in S as x in X for norm x is less than or equals to 1. Now here at this point we will discuss the two cases for x to be, wait a minute. What I will discuss two cases. Case number 1 I am going to discuss is what will happen if x is equal to 0. What will happen if x is equals to 0? What about T of x? T linear.
0.
T of x is 0. Therefore, may I say actually that is, can I write norm T of x is less than or equals to k into norm of x. Right now, for x0, t0, whether it satisfies the inequality or not. Both is 0, 0. Therefore, inequality is true, obviously true. Therefore, let me discuss specially for the values vectors with non-zero values, non-zero vectors. If x is non-zero, what about norm of x? Surely
Non-zero.
Okay. Now I am going to define a vector which is x in S. This is actually x is in X. No. Now I wanted to convert this to be a vector in S. What I have to do? If this has to be an element of S, this should satisfy the condition norm x is less than or equals to 1. Therefore, I just wanted to convert this vector to a unit vector. How can I convert it to a unit vector?
By dividing with its norm.
Very good. Therefore, I will define y as x upon norm of x such that the norm value of y will be, yes, x upon
1.
norm of x, 1. Very good. Norm x is a scalar taken out. Norm x, 1 upon norm x into norm x, this will be 1. Therefore, now may I say y belongs to S. Right? If y belongs to S, what about T of y? It will belongs to T of
T
S.
of x.
But T of S is bounded. Correct, na? By assumption, T of S is bounded. Therefore, may I say norm of T of y less than or equals to k?
Yes, ma'am.
But what is y we have selected? X upon norm of x. Just let me use linearity property. What is linearity property says? This is the scalar, no? This is the scalar. Therefore, the scalar can be taken out. If 1 upon norm x, I will take out into T of x. Again, this norm x is scalar taken out of the norm also with modulus. But no need to write a modulus because norm x is itself a non-negative quantity. So what we have obtained? 1 upon norm x taken out. Therefore, this is norm of T of x less than or equals to k. Okay. Therefore, this will give me norm of t of x less than or equals to k into norm of x for all x in x. What is this? This definition is the function t
T
is
is bounded.
bounded. Somewhere here I have not written a reason. T is linear. Right now? Hence the proof we have obtained. If T maps bounded sets to bounded sets, we have proved that the function T itself is bounded. Any difficulty? If you have, you can ask. Okay? If not, let us stop for today. Thank you for being with me for this lecture.